at that point. But again, welcome. And enough said about me and the organization. Please contact any of us later, again, about our fundraising. Let me introduce Dr. David Reitzel, who will be our MC today and also one of our speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Right, that doesn't tip. Makes nice noises, though. Yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Back in the day, this was the best view of exoplanets we had. And it usually involved the Starship Enterprise orbiting some, fantastical planet that had beings on it. However, the first exoplanet we found was all the way back in '92. It was orbiting a pulsar. So talk about weird things. The dead core of a supermassive star that exploded had a planet around it. It was not on my card for being the first exoplanet we'd find, but it was. Then we found another one. Then eventually we found a hot Jupiter. That was in '94, I believe, 51 Peg, about half the size of Jupiter, but it was nearly grazing the surface of its star. So that blew our minds. We thought that these things would be further away. So exoplanets started out their history with weirdness, which is super, super cool. It makes them extra interesting. Here's a little graph showing you the discovery rate, and you can see it goes up, and then we get to 2014, and there was a huge spike. Well, that's because we built a mission to go actually look for the things. Instead of using and scraping together resources to find them on the ground, we decided to launch the Kepler telescope and go find them. And eventually, this is what we have today. And I'm sure others during their talks today will summarize some of this information, talk about the history of how we got here. But I love these big spikes. That shows data releases of these big programs. And the TESS mission has not released most of their objects yet. It has like 6,000 or 8,000 candidates that they're waiting to verify. So huge numbers are coming in the near future. So Ken, you're totally correct on that. It's just right around the corner. The total numbers, this is a cumulative plot that has them by how we found them, the different ways to find them. There's lots of ways to find exoplanets. The transit method is it's probably the easiest, and you can catch lots of them just by staring at a bunch of stars. An exoplanet eventually is going to pass in front of one of the stars. That little bit of dimming tells you there's an exoplanet there. By the way, we have a solar telescope set up out front. And there are some sunspots today, and sunspots are some of the things that were confusing and used to confuse us about whether we were seeing an exoplanet or whether it was just a star spot going around. So a lot of the Kepler stars are still like, is there an exoplanet there? Is this star just weird? This is some beautiful work. I'm forgetting where I found this. I stole it off the internet. But this is actually a plot. Exoplanet size is the size of it. Their temperatures are their colors. And this is sort of the whole family, the whole zoo. So there's big ones, there's small ones. Of course, there's also lots of rocky ones. These are all the terrestrial rocky ones. On the left are the frozen worlds. On the right are the baking hot molten lava worlds. Somewhere in the middle there, there'll be Earth-like ones that maybe have some liquid water on the surface. Have we found an Earth-like one yet? Well, stay tuned. Stay for our talks. I'm not going to spoil it if anybody's going to talk about that. We're imaging exoplanets now. Well, one of these is probably a brown dwarf. But this was just from the meeting that was in June up in Alaska. I didn't get to go to Alaska this time, but talk to Griffith Observatory. Tell him to send Reitzel to Alaska next time. I want to go. So anyway, we're able to image them, and this isn't the only ones we've seen. They're just little dots. We're not getting any surface features, but they're there. Now, so we're kind of starting to get a little more in contact with them in a way. We're able to get spectroscopy of them. In my talk, I'll talk about some interesting spectra of some of the exoplanets that are out there that have maybe signs of life, or maybe not. Maybe it's nonsense. Right now, this is an interstellar comet that's flying through our solar system. Oh, sorry, Internet. Sorry, stream. I broke it, I think. Anyway, we'll get the experts to fix it. There we go. Although it's upside down. We'll see how that works. Anyway, so flying through our solar system right now, this extrasolar comet, a comet from another solar system, is cruising through ours. Now, how crazy is that? How did it get here? Well, it got ejected from its own solar system, flying along, it's going through ours, so we're going to be able to study this with great big telescopes, and we're going to be able to make measurements of an object that used to be around exoplanets from another star. So we're actually getting some samples up close. Now, we're not going to go grab them and bring them back to Earth, but very, very cool times. Now, finally, we all want to know about habitability. I love this website. It's actually in Puerto Rico, that was associated with Arecibo, the big radio telescope that fell down. But it's important for us to be able to fund and have large radio observatories like Arecibo. One, it was culturally important for the island, and two, they were doing things like studying habitable worlds. They aren't just doing the radio astronomy there. Now, when we all think habitability, we're thinking things like this. Are they aliens like ET, or maybe they're a little more like the alien there? Or maybe that's all just humanity. Maybe that's what we think it's like. But that's what we kind of want to know about, and exoplanets are the first step on that. Now, the habitable ones aren't the only interesting ones. I love the lava worlds. I love the frozen worlds. I love the giant ringed planets, the ones that have crazy rings around them. So we're in for a lot of fun today to hear about exoplanets, to hear about the history. And I'm really glad to see so many of you have joined us today. How many are here because you're interested in aliens? A few of us are. I mean, I've got the alien on my shirt as well. A few of us are. That's what got me into exoplanets, got me thinking about them, got me excited about them. But then I started to learn there's just excitement there in general. The exoplanets are so rich and so different than the planets in our own solar system. The most common type of exoplanet is one that's not even in our solar system. So the universe is an amazing place, and there's lots of interesting stuff for us to learn.